Welcome everybody to Project You, Project Me, the FTG guide to self-belief and self-coaching. Why not come along and listen to people like you, people like me, leaving legacies for your future. And welcome to the Forces Transition Group Project You, Project Me podcast, another one with the fantastic Brian Stirk. So Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
It's great to see you, mate. And I know that we've done a little bit of stuff in the past. Not personally where we known each other because we've only met each other through the FTG, but I mean in your transition. So before we start, we always like to know a little bit about the individual. So who is Brian Stirk? Where did you serve and what time, how long, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, so as you know, I'm Brian Stirk. I joined the Royal Navy in 1998, so almost 25 years done. I initially joined as an operator maintainer, which was a relatively new branch at that point. I always preferred the maintenance engineering side of the job. So when the branch transformation happened in 2007, I became an engineering technician. I went to HMS Collingwood that same year and I did my foundation degree in electronic engineering. And then I came out the other side as a petty officer engineering technician. Spent the next 4 years at sea. And then during that time, I was fortunate enough to get promoted to chief petty officer. Had a couple of years short time after that, after 4 years at sea. And then I joined HMS Iron Duke and HMS Westminster for 3 years as the head of group within the weapon engineering department. During that time, again, I was fortunate enough to get selected for Warrant Officer 1. I then worked at DE&S, Defence Equipment and Support at Abbey Wood in Bristol, and then followed by a sea draft on HMS Kent. And that's where I've recently left to begin my resettlement.
Yeah, fantastic. Not sure how we got Royal Navy on here, being Army. But I think I'm going a bit soft because my daughter's actually about to have a baby with a Royal Navy guy, a top guy as well he is. So I've kind of let them through the door somehow into an Army threshold. But yeah, it's great to see and listen to your successful career. Which leads us nicely on to success, actually, doesn't it? So you are going through your transition, your resettlement period, whatever you want to call it. And we hear that you've had several successful kind of auditions, I guess, and you've now found your successful future. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I have, yes. So basically, I attended one of your Christmas careers fair, actually, the online careers fair. Mm-hmm. I recently left a ship in HMS Kent in November. Attended your online careers fair in December at the Christmas fair. And there was a presentation by NSSL, Neil Fraser, which really interested me. So I did a bit of research and found I didn't realise that obviously I knew of NSSL with being in the Navy and doing lots of work with them previously, but I didn't realise they had an office in the Northeast. So I did a bit of inquiring, got asked to send my CV in, which I did so. I then got asked to go for a chat, and it was from that chat basically that materialised into a job offer, which I was delighted. I'd had several job offers, but that was the one I was holding out for. It's when I read the job description, it just aligned with who I am, what I am exactly. So that was the job I wanted. Unfortunately enough, I've been offered that job, which I've received straight away. So I am about to go on terminal leave next month, which I'll then start my employment during that terminal leave. So yeah, really, really excited, really over the moon about that.
Yeah, so your transition's over, so it's kind of taken that smooth look now where you can just kind of go, do you know what, I can just have that little tiny breath just before I go back into hitting the ground running. And a great company with NSL. Who would believe that the online FTG job fairs actually work there? And Neil Fraser is a top guy and has been part of our growth really for the last 3 years. And it's amazing the amount of conversations and things that he will do for people as well, even if they don't go into the business. So their company are fantastic, and we're going to work with them for a long time, no doubt. Yeah. Taking fantastic candidates like you, perhaps they would never have found you, nor would you have found them. So that's the whole point.
Yeah, likewise. Like I said, John, I didn't realise they were based in the Northeast, and it was just
Yeah.
being on your online jobs fair, did a bit of research into the company, and found they had an office in North Shields. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, it would never have happened.
Yeah. Always do research, always ask a question. We
Absolutely.
talk about that all the time. But moving back slightly, when you kind of first came into transition, did you feel that your transition, you hit the ground running? Did you find it easy? Did you engage in it? Or did you actually hold a sleepwalker mentality or a bit of a hunter mentality?
Well, my transition, did I find it easy? Do you know what, John? I'd probably say somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly struggle, but I did have to put that time in and work hard to get the opportunities that I did eventually get. Basically, going back a step, my decision to leave the Navy was based on a couple of factors. One, big changes in personal circumstances, and
Yeah.
two, I wasn't feeling that job satisfaction anymore. I wasn't getting that buzz I'd had for the previous 23 years. So based on I'd always planned to do 30 plus years, I made my decision over 4 months, and therefore I didn't have a plan in place, if that makes sense. As I said previously, I was on board a ship, and anyone will tell you life on board, very busy, very hard work. So I was juggling both doing my job to the best of my ability and planning my transition. So as I said, very, very difficult time. I did have a really good boss, a good CEO, who were aware of my situation and they were in my position. They did help me where possible. They allow me to trend, like say, transition briefs, book courses, etc. So yeah, so the transition itself, I'd say probably somewhere in the middle. But again, not difficult, but having to put that hard, tough, grinding work in to get where you are.
Yeah, well, we've absolutely got to do that. Nobody's going to plain sail out, really. We should have some excitement and we should have some nerves.
Yeah.
I'd say to people all the time, you wouldn't play in an FA Cup final without those two. So
No.
there's nothing wrong with feeling that. Really interesting to hear you say that the CEO and people like that were backing you and helping you leave, I guess. The Royal Navy, in all honesty, is the better out of the three services, if you like, when
Yeah.
it comes to FTG statistics. And we've got all that stuff to prove it. I think there's a lot more through transitional stuff going on. And I know there's people doing lots of stuff in service to make that work for everybody that's leaving. So long may that continue.
Yeah.
And you did mention before, that little bit of FTG help that we give you, but was there, how much did the FTG kind of give you that little tiny bit of confidence, or was there anything in particular you picked up from the FTG that kind of thought, do you know what, I can do this, or I need to do this? Anything that kind of streamlined that process for you?
Yeah, I mean, the FTG, I must say, the FTG has helped me massively. As I've said, I was on board a ship, really working hard. I'd done through sea training. I was warrant officer engineer, so I was looking after the fleet time support period, the maintenance periods. Very little time to work on my transition. So when I finally left the ship, I was like, right, where do I go from here? I had to start getting my CV out there, but I'd never had to produce a CV. I had no idea if the CV I'd done was up to scratch or not. So I got myself on LinkedIn, connected with a few Forces connections. And it was from there, a Forces colleague pointed me in the direction of yourself and the Forces and the FTG, Forces Transition Group. So I messaged obviously via LinkedIn and then received a reply again almost instantly telling me, you'd be delighted in working in my transition. Could I send you my CV? And you would provide some honest feedback. So again, that was exactly what I was looking for. It's where the direction I needed to go in at that time. So I received that honest feedback and realised there was a lot of work to do. So I obviously arranged that 1 hour CV chat with yourself. And I have to say, John, that was the most valuable 60 minutes I've had through my whole resettlement transition period. The CV chat was excellent, but really transformed me from being a nervous, apprehensive service leaver to having that mentality to go out and literally hunt jobs down. It was your belief in me, and we didn't even know each other. It was just the phrases that you used, like, this CV will get you lots of attention. You will be invited to attend lots of interviews. That really gave me the confidence to push on and completely transform my confidence and mentality.
Yeah. Thank so much for that. We didn't plan that at all, and people will probably think we did, but I really appreciate that. We get lots of feedback, and it's really nice to hear. But ultimately, it was down to you, Brian. Service people will give kudos to the FTG, myself, and others around me, but it's really about the individual taking hold of the mantle and moving forward, and that's what you did. And if we can put a guide in place for 60 minutes, and that's all it takes, imagine we could do that with all 15,000 people who left. That wouldn't really take that much time and that much effort, in theory, if we had more people doing that at the same level. So that's where we need to get to, and we have got plans to get there. But NDAs in place, I suppose.
Yeah, it was just having that, that's 60 minutes. I came out the other end believing in myself.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, those phrases that you used, was that instill that confidence.
It's all about those legacies and those paths, because that's where we've been, and that's why you're here today, to leave yours. And it kind of brings us on to that self-belief, that belief that you've just spoke about, and why we're here, the Project You Project Me guide, and how people can gain some of that self-belief. So yes, you can have the one-to-ones and all that kind of good stuff, but you can also download a booklet from the Forces Transition Group, which will allow you to look inside yourself and really look at your direction and who you actually are. And I know you didn't use this because it was kind of pre your or it's post your time that we did all the work. But you have had a look at it now, and what are you thinking about that? Would you have used it?
I do. Sorry, I would use it, and my reasons are basically it's something in there that you can utilize throughout your career. I think it's a very useful tool, and I think it's useful for somebody or something in there for everyone at all levels, if that makes sense. I haven't really seen anything like it. I'm not saying there's nothing out there that matches up to this, but I certainly haven't seen it if there is. There's certain parts of the guide that resonate with me more than others, I will say. But it's literally, there's a booklet there that will not only help you succeed, but it will also something you can utilize, like you say, throughout your career. Things like the spheres of influence, I will certainly use that as I move forward in order to focus on things I can influence, things I can control, and not ponder and stew over the things you can't control. That's basically what I've done in all different aspects of my life. So yeah, I think it's a cracking little booklet, and that will certainly benefit lots of service leavers.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic to hear. And I always say I like the like and dislikes part. It seems so simple to write a likes and dislikes piece on an A4 piece of paper, if you like, but actually it really opens your eyes. And it's so simple, and anybody can do it, because a lot of people take these guides, these booklets, education, if you like, learning, as if they can't. But this is really, really simple. And I'm not really academic at all, but I pick these things up and I just look at it and think, well, that's pretty easy. So absolutely. If anybody's fearing that, then I wouldn't. But we're going to end with perhaps people's favorites. So people are always saying about these golden nuggets, the 3 golden nuggets of success. I think there's probably thousands of them. But your 3 golden nuggets for service leavers, for a bit of a legacy, what would they be?
Yeah, so my 3 golden nuggets that I've chosen, it's the 3 I've chosen will help you in life as well as your transition, resettlement period. So my first one is always have a plan. Always have a plan. It will help you succeed in what you're trying to achieve. I would say share that plan with others. Let others look at that plan and give you good, honest feedback. Have a thick skin, take that feedback on board, whether good or bad, as it will help you plan for your success. My second nugget that I've gone for is never stop learning or wanting to learn. I think if you have been in a job 10 weeks, 10 years, there are always things you can learn to make it even more successful. I think my third one, I've gone with values and standards. Having high standards, good values promotes success. Treat people with respect that you expect from others. Honesty, loyalty, integrity all come into this. And when I talk about this, having your values and standards, so during this very short period, I've actually attended quite a lot of interviews. I've had really good feedback, and these type of things were mentioned. So yeah, so that's why I included that one, the values and standards, as my third choice.
Yeah, so 3 great golden nuggets there. And I know a couple of them I'll pick up on. One of them always gets mentioned, and is that it's the never stop learning piece. There's a kind of part of a military person that thinks they've got to go and do the same job as they've been doing all their life in the military, and that isn't true. So if you have the ability to not stop learning, or you've got that ethos, then you can go in and do anything you want. But you are going to have to learn new areas. It's just the way that it's going to be. But it's
Absolutely.
not impossible. And the high standards things is a great piece, because people go, oh, the old values and standards is coming out. But actually, the military ethos towards a civilian is that we've got higher standards. That's not strictly true. I know hundreds and thousands of civilians who've got massively high standards. And
Absolutely.
the other thing is, many of them also might have served. So they're still going to have all those high standards. So if you don't go in with those same high standards, then you're going to fall when you hit Civvy Street. Just because they haven't been in the military doesn't mean people haven't got high standards. So we should always remember that, and we should take those values and standards that we've all trusted so much and hold so close to our heart when we're in the military into civilian street, because it will, make you stand out. I've got no doubt. But Brian, that's absolutely fantastic, and that's another great kind of 15-20 minutes on the Project You, Project Me podcast. It's absolutely fantastic to hear about your success, especially, another person from the north, and I was born in South Shields instead of North Shields. I know you're probably black and white and I'm red and white. However, it's great to see every single person succeeding, and I wish you, and we all from the FTG wish you all the luck in the future, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I've got no doubt we'll do some work in the future.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you for everything. Thank you.
Stay safe, pal. Bye-bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Project You, Project Me. Thanks for listening in. But remember, we have a Project You, Project Me guide to self-coaching, to self-belief, and it can all be downloaded on our website. We also do the 5 fundamentals: CVs, professional writing. We do brand, we do CPD, making sure you're going in the right direction. We're also looking at your elevation, giving you 2 times the chance to set up your interviews before your first actual interview. And also we look at your financial plan, massively important for your future, for you and your family. So why not come along? Have a look. What you got to lose? It's all free. Stay safe.